Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with J-Dash and Big Easy. We're moving along with our draft reviews for the offseason. We're doing the AFC West today. We're going to start with the Denver Broncos. The Broncos used their first-round pick, 23rd overall, on defensive end Shane Ray out of Missouri. Ray was a bit of a controversy going into the draft for about a week or two right before. He tested positive for marijuana. He was actually a top 10 talent. A lot of people said he could go in the top 5.
What do you mean, marijuana? That's not that bad. Marijuana, come on now. Every single one of them probably smokes marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
He just got caught.
Believe it.
So he's still a talent, but go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, I'm not hating on the guy. I'm just saying why he slid from a potential top 10 pick down to 23rd.
It's a shame.
But Ray has good size. At 6'3", 245 pounds. He's quick at a 4'6", 440. He did 21 bench reps at the combine. He's an explosive player who can get to the quarterback quickly. He has great power coming off the snap. He played 4-3 D end in college, but he can play 3-4 linebacker in the NFL. He sets the edge. He gets to it quickly. Tackles are going to have a hard time with him coming around quick. People like Willie Colon, remember when he was in Pittsburgh, he struggled with speed rushers. If you're a right tackle and you struggle with a guy who can get to the outside quick, Ray is going to expose you very, very early in a game. Some of the things against him, though, he doesn't have great length, so he can get caught up by the taller tackles in the league, which is probably why you'll see him going against the right tackle as opposed to the left tackle. They're usually the better, bigger player. He can get eaten up by those mammoth tackles with his small size. He could put on maybe 10 pounds, but he might lose a little bit of speed if he does. He needs to work on his inside rush moves. He's pretty much just an outside guy right now. He dips his shoulder, tries to get to the quarterback. He does kind of have a spin move, but it's not very polished right now, and he gets knocked off balance very easily when he tries it.
Well, you got drafted by the perfect city for him, though, right?
Yeah, you're allowed to smoke weed in Denver.
Yes, so
now he only has to worry about not being allowed in the NFL.
Yeah, for real.
He's already
But I
in the
like
program.
this pick just because he's a beast and he could give you value this season. And with Peyton Manning at the end of his career, you need something right now.
Yeah, they needed pass rush help, and I think they got it. This guy's definitely going to be able to come in and at least help the defense right away. He may not be a starter, but he'll be able to come in and produce, especially on third down. He's going to be a hard person to block when it's third and long. The second round pick for Denver was Ty Sambraio. He's an offensive tackle out of Colorado State. He's 6'6", 311 pounds, ran a 5'3", 640, only 23 bench reps. Not really a lot of bench reps for a guy his size. He has enough athleticism to play left tackle, right tackle. He can actually play guard if needed, although he's a little big for that position. He can move in open space, which will help the screen game. He has good technique and pass protection. He keeps his feet moving and finishes his blocks. He does struggle in the run game, though. He's not a mauler. He's not going to take on that big 350-pound defensive end and push him out of the way. He's more of a, when he's pass protecting, he just directs the defender away from the quarterback, not necessarily, overpowers him. He needs to work on his inside game. If a defender comes off the edge and cuts in quickly, he loses his balance a little bit. He does keep his feet moving, like I said, in his blocks, but he can be easily knocked off balance, which makes him susceptible to that inside or outside-inside move.
Most important thing, taking care of Peyton Manning. Like I said, he's at the end of his career, and really one big hit to this guy, and he could be donezo for good.
because he doesn't move, so they got to use all options to take care of him.
He may end up being in the starting lineup right away because Clady got hurt again, and then their other tackle, I forget what happened to him, but they lost 2 tackles between the time the draft happened and now. So Sambraio could definitely see some playing time early. They're going to need him to play well because Peyton Manning's their only chance at winning right now. Their defense is good. I'm not saying that they're not going to be able to help the team, but they have nobody behind Manning at quarterback. The Broncos' third-round pick was tight end Jeff Heuerman. He was taken 92nd overall out of Ohio State. He's 6'5", 254 pounds, runs a 4.8 40 with 26 bench reps. Good athlete, good straight line speed. He can get vertical a little bit, not great. He goes up and gets the ball at its highest point. He was a team captain in college, so he's a good character guy. His weakness is he's not real strong, but he's not real weak. His strength is there in running routes, he can separate from defenders and he can keep them off his back, but he doesn't have real good strength in the run game. He's not going to block real well. He's not somebody you're going to want to line up consistently beside your right tackle and run behind that right side of the line. He's somebody you're going to split out wide and use in the passing game. So he'll need to definitely work on his run blocking if he wants to be a full-time starter. Although in Denver, if you can catch a ball from Peyton Manning, he's going to lobby hard to get you in the lineup. And they just lost Julius Thomas, so they definitely could use some help in the passing game at that position.
Yeah, that's the big thing, the loss of Julius Thomas. Now, I don't know if that guy is going to replace him. Good luck with that.
Right.
But they did have to bring in a tight end, so this guy is going to have a shot.
Has character. I don't think he's a
They don't really have any other big-time tight ends out there, correct?
No.
Is Jacob Tammy out there?
Jermaine Gresham was the last tight end to sign just recently, and he signed with the Cardinals. So there's not really any free agent help. So, yeah, they got Tammy, maybe. I don't even know if he's still there, but they got nothing behind Thomas. And Thomas was a bit of a surprise. What was it, 1 or 2 good years he had in Denver? It's not like he had a great career. So it could be Peyton Manning makes that position because he's pretty much always had productive tight ends in his football career.
Yeah, and nowadays he has to use the tight end more than ever, too.
Yeah, because he's losing that arm strength.
Please believe.
Ducks.
Another guy they brought in to help protect Peyton was Max Garcia, a center out of Florida. He was taken in the 4th round, 133rd overall. This was a compensatory pick for the Broncos. He's 6'4", 309 pounds. He was a team captain also in college. He's a hard worker in the weight room. He's good in tight spaces, which he has to be able to be good at the center position. He uses his hands well at the point of attack. He gets off the ball at the snap quickly. He does lack speed, and he doesn't have great mobility, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. A lot of teams like to use their center to pull and run. This guy, he's more of a power scheme. You can run right behind him, that's fine, but you don't want to move him out. You're not going to use him in the screen game a whole lot. He doesn't keep his pads low all the time, especially when he gets tired later in the games. You'll see him standing up too much and kind of trying to lean on the defender to block him. That's not going to work in the NFL. Everybody's 6'4", 309 pounds in the NFL, so you're not going to be able to just lean your body into the defender and hope that he's not going to smear your quarterback because Peyton Manning can't run to save his life.
Yeah, again, bring in more linemen to help protect Peyton Manning. And in the end, when you're done with Peyton Manning and you have another quarterback coming in, the best thing for him is having a good line. So right now is the best time to build on this line for the Denver Broncos, in my opinion.
They're trying to. Who knows if these beatnuts are going to pan out.
Obviously it never works out like you want, but who knows? It could work out better as well.
People say that the NFL is all about passing, in which they are right. But to win in the NFL, you still need to control the line of scrimmage. If you can win on the offensive and defensive line consistently, you are a much better team, and you will have a way better chance at winning your division and moving along in the playoffs because it all starts right there.
Battle of the trenches.
The 5th round pick for the Broncos was Lorenzo Doss. He's a cornerback out of Tulane. 5'10", 182 pounds. The guy ran a 4.47 40, measly 9 bench reps, 33.5-inch vertical, which he's going to need only being 5'10". He's got good burst coming out of his back pedal. He can change direction quickly. He played wide receiver and corner in college, so he has good hands, and he understands what the receiver's doing when he's running his routes, and he anticipates routes and makes good breaks on the ball. He had 15 picks in 3 years in college. Some of that aggressiveness, though, works against him because he takes too many chances, which leads to big plays for the offense. He's very susceptible to the double move. We've seen Ike Taylor get beat by the double move consistently in Pittsburgh. Not that Ike wasn't a good guy, but, I mean, all it takes is that 1 extra second for the receiver to get around you, especially with the skill at that position in the NFL nowadays. If you get turned around the wrong way, it's going to be hard for you to catch up. He's a guy who grabs the receiver a little bit too much, and he's going to draw a lot of penalties in the NFL. That's something he can work on and get better at. Getting beat by the double move, I don't know. When you're a guy who plays on instincts and you want to challenge balls, you're probably going to do that throughout your whole career. So it's going to be something that they're going to have to live with if they decide to try to use this guy. Another thing Doss isn't real great at is stopping the run. He's a smaller guy, only the 9 bench reps at the combine. That's not always a telltale of how he's going to do, but he doesn't lower his pads to take on the runner. He's more of a grabber. He just kind of wants to hope he can get you or maybe redirect you out of bounds. That's not going to fly. You need to be able to tackle in the NFL.
Please believe I love my tackling cornerbacks. That's one of the most important things to me.
Tackling fuel. Darius Kilgo, the nose tackle out of Maryland, was the 6th-round pick. He was taken 203rd overall. He's 6'3", 319 pounds. Good size for a nose tackle. Ran a 5.13 40, 33 bench reps. Obviously good strength. He has good arm extension. He has long arms for a guy who's 6'3". He doesn't get moved off his spot very often. He's good at the point of attack. He had 3 fumble recoveries and a block kick in 2014. He was a 3-year starter in college. He's not the best pass rusher. He's not going to get you probably even 3 sacks a year at the NFL level. He's more of a 3-4 nose tackle. He's somebody who's gap strong. He could take on 2 blockers at one time to try to help free up some linebackers. He'll need to work on his hand fighting a little bit, and he lacks a little bit of quickness off the ball. If he improves his lower body strength, that'll help him out a lot because it'll give him more drive at the point of attack and more drive at the snap. He's somebody who wears down a little bit as games go on and plays go on. That comes with his big size. And then guys in college, they don't have the greatest conditioning. They don't have people watching what they eat. They don't have the money for nutritionists and personal chefs. You see all these guys get to the NFL, they get those problems shored up. I mean, when you have a chef and a nutritionist working for you, it's a lot easier to maintain your weight and maintain your cardio. And when you have a coach screaming at you, you make $5 million a year, that doesn't hurt. Kilgo don't have the power to be a nose tackle right now, so you're not really going to see this guy starting day one or even at all probably through the first year. His pass rushing struggles will go against him also. He is a decent fit for Denver's defense, but I see him more of just a backup guy and possibly even only a practice squad guy for this year. Well, here they found Peyton's replacement in the 7th round, Trevor Siemian, the quarterback out of Northwestern. This was another compensatory pick for the Broncos. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He's a strong arm quarterback who works well in the pocket. He's a good team leader. Nothing flashy. He didn't put up huge numbers. He tore his ACL in November, so he's still trying to recover from that. He didn't have a whole lot of work in college. He only threw 3 more touchdowns than interceptions at Northwestern, so he's probably not really the replacement for Peyton Manning. Brock Osweiler most likely will be after this season. Not that he's guaranteed to be good, but I don't think you'll see Siemian on the field probably ever.
Yeah, it's hard to hit on a 7th-round quarterback, I'll tell you that. But who knows? You never know. He could be a guy for the practice squad or something.
Practice squatted up. Peyton's arm's going to fall off, so you know he's not going to be throwing too many passes in practice. At least this guy will get a shot to learn an NFL offense. Another 7th-round pick was Turi Nixon, a defensive back. He came from Tulane. He's 6 foot, 183 pounds. He ran a 4.38 40 with a 38-inch vertical, 18 bench reps for a defensive back. He doesn't have a defined position at corner or safety. The Broncos are kind of looking at him for either one. He's a little bit small for safety at only 183 pounds. Not that there aren't safeties that play at that weight, but he's not exactly... He's a great athlete, so I don't want to say he's not athletic enough to play the corner position. He doesn't really have the skill set. He doesn't have the fluid hips. He's more of a free-ranging safety, I would say, like an Ed Reed, a guy who's real good. He's real fast. He's got great athleticism. He goes up for the ball. He's not afraid to hit somebody. But if you want him to try to run with the likes of an A.J. Green or even maybe a Golden Tate in Detroit, it's going to be hard for him to run step for step with these guys because he just doesn't have the agility and the hip movement and the footwork to do that.
Well, Denver's run defense was the best part of their defense last season. They actually were 2nd in the league, letting up only 79.8 yards per game. So if they're going to work on anything, it has to be the passing game. So bringing in a couple corners in this draft is a good idea for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and this just being a compensatory pick for them, they had a couple of them, I think almost 4 maybe. It's just like a free swing basically at a player. You bring this guy in, even if he only makes the practice squad, it's not like you wasted a pick on him. He's somebody they feel has the athleticism to play the position. He's learned it a little bit in school, and they feel like they can build him up, teach him how to play the game, and then put him in the lineup in maybe a year or 2 here. I think you could be on the practice squad for 2 or 3 years, or maybe if you've played so many NFL games, you can't be put back on it. But don't expect him to see him on the roster day one, but I think he makes the team just out of his athleticism alone. The last pick for the Broncos, another 7th-round compensatory pick, was Josh Furman, another defensive back, somebody without a defined position. He came from Oklahoma State. He's 6'2", 202 pounds, ran a 4.45 40, 18 bench reps, 38-inch vertical. Another great athlete. He's really aggressive against the run. He's a good tackler who I think also projects better at safety than corner. He doesn't have great agility, just like Nixon. He's not somebody that's real fluid moving down the field. He's a lot better at the safety position. He plays real well at free safety, where he just kind of roams around deep in the backfield. He's got enough strength that he can take on tight ends, but he's not somebody who's going to be able to bring down Adrian Peterson on his own. So he's somebody they can work with, another person they're going to try to just mold around and expect to see him, just like Nixon, on the practice squad, or maybe even not on the team, because he's more of a fringe player than Nixon is, I think.
I mean, you hit on just one of two of these guys, and you did something really good there.
Believe it.
Some of the undrafted free agents that Denver brought in earlier this season was Nebraska linebacker Zaire Anderson, Clemson offensive lineman Kalen Davis, Mississippi State offensive lineman Dylan Day, Boise State receiver Matt Miller, but they ended up cutting him already.
DUI, probably.
Wyoming offensive lineman Connor Rains, Auburn cornerback Trevon Reed, Nevada offensive lineman Kyle Roberts, Clemson defensive lineman Josh Watson, and then they brought in this Rice wide receiver Jordan Taylor. Now Taylor, he's 6'4", 209 pounds. He ran a 4.52 40, which isn't that great, but he had a vertical jump of 36.5 inches and a broad jump of 10 feet 2 inches. So this dude has some ups.
With undrafted free agents, a lot of times you're looking at great athletes who played at lesser schools, so you want to give them a chance because they didn't get the exposure that these other guys did at these big schools. So you never know. You could find a diamond in the rough every once in a while.
Listen, scouts are actually starting to take a look at this guy and thinking he may be better than previously advertised, actually. They're saying he has an excellent ability to plant his leg and explode out of breaks, and he also has quick hands and natural ball skills as well. So this guy has a lot of upside, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him succeed with Peyton Manning if he got a chance.
In today's style NFL passing game, players run those option routes. You know, the quarterback and the receiver both know which way they could possibly go, but if you can get out of your breaks quickly, that's a big plus. I mean, players like Wes Welker or some of these other slot guys, they have made a living doing it, and if you can do that, especially in Peyton's offense, he loves a guy in the slot.
Ramendola and Whitehead.
Yeah, Brandon Stokely.
Some people actually have this guy listed at 6'5". I usually go with the shorter of the two just because people like to prop. Yeah, people like to prop up their height and weight sometimes.
Believe it. You think Andre the Giant was really 700 pounds? Well, let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs think that they have something great going on right now. I've read an article that said they are building a dynasty and that Alex Smith is going to lead the way. If you believe that, I'm sorry, man, but you're delirious because it's just not going to happen. Alex Smith is not the guy for the job. But they did a good job in their draft here. They're trying to build from the ground up. Andy Reid's out there. He runs a certain style of team, and he wants character guys there, which really surprised me when they took Marcus Peters, the cornerback out of Washington, in the first round. He's 6 foot, 197 pounds, great athlete, runs a 4.5 340, 17 bench reps, 37.5-inch vertical. He's fluid hips, great in man coverage, good hands, can catch the ball, can redirect receivers. He does it all. But he also gets kicked off of his team for throwing temper tantrums and screaming at his coaches. So all that athleticism and all that skill, it was shocking for Andy Reid to take that guy, even though he was the guy to take the flyer on Michael Vick when he came out of prison.
Please believe me. And Kansas City already has a good pass defense. In fact, they were the second best in the league last season, and this is only going to make it better. I believe this was actually a good pick in the end, though. I think this guy is good. I mean, he could end up being the best corner in the draft in the end, and going to Kansas City, a place where they already have a pretty good defense, it's going to help him learn a little bit quicker, too.
If he goes to KC and just starts going crazy, I like to think if once people become a professional and start getting money, they'd wise up.
It happens sometimes. Look at Jerome Bettis.
Yeah. Peters is definitely the best athlete, I think. Maybe Trey Wayne's out of the corners in the draft. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Andy Reid feels like he liked him in his interviews. He liked when he got to talk to his family and his friends. He thinks he can take this guy under his wing. He's young. You can't fault a kid for getting in trouble when he's young. You don't know any better.
I'm not big on taking corners in the first round, all in all, though. Sometimes, I wouldn't say it's easier to find them in the second and third round, but you can definitely find these guys in later rounds as well. So this has to be a hit for the Kansas City Chiefs, though. You know what I mean? This can't be a miss for him, or it's going to set him back a little bit.
I think he has all the tools to become a Pro Bowl player. It's just whether he can keep his head in the game. Their second-round pick was the offensive guard out of Missouri, Mitch Morris. They took him 49th overall. He's a big guy, 6'5", 305, ran a 5'1", 440 with 36 bench reps. He played tackle in college, but most likely will move to guard in the pros. He's a strong player who's aggressive at the snap. He gets to the second level and secures blocks very easily for a guy his size. He has good balance in pass protection, and he uses his hands to keep the defender away from him. He doesn't have very long arms for a guy his height. You think they'd be a little bit longer. He needs to be a little more smooth in his lower body. Just work on his footwork, work on setting his feet in protection. He needs to work on challenging defenders. He kind of lets them come to him. I want to see him get off the ball and get into them. He gets up out of his stance quick and he sets into his positioning quick, but he doesn't always be the first one to engage. So I want to see him get them off balance first and not allow them to try to push him off balance.
Well, with Alex Smith at quarterback, in my opinion, the most important thing is having a good running game. So this guy has to be a good run blocker, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely can do it. He's somebody that you can pull from the guard position and lead Jamal Charles out in the flat. He's a guy who's good in the screen game. I mean, at 6'5", 305, you don't see that too much. You see more of the lighter offensive tackles or offensive guards that can do that. So he's a good guy. He's somebody that could definitely make a difference on their line. And, you know, they could use it because they like to run the ball a lot. They like to do a lot of different things with their offense compared to other teams. The third-round pick was wide receiver Chris Conley out of Georgia. He's 6'2", 213 pounds, a blazing 4.3, 540 with 18 bench reps. This guy had a 45-inch vertical jump. That's almost 4 feet in the air this dude can jump. And at 6'2", you know he's going to go up and get some deep balls.
Well, let's hope so, because Kansas City's wide receivers were terrible last season.
Didn't even catch a touchdown pass at all as a group.
Please believe.
But Conley, he was the top performer at the Combine in 4 different events. The 40, bench reps, vertical, and broad jump for wide receivers. So he obviously has all the tools to be the wide receiver. He ran a lot of deep routes at Georgia. He didn't run a whole lot of different routes. So he'll have to learn a more extensive route tree and get better at coming out of his breaks as opposed to just going deep. But he's definitely somebody that can make a difference for Kansas City right away as far as opening up the offense and maybe even keeping those safeties back a step or two to try to help in the run game. Mike Wallace's first year in Pittsburgh, Randy Moss's first year. Now Moss was a complete different story because he was beast at everything. But when you get a rookie receiver that can go deep, you put pressure on that defense and it allows a lot of other people's job to be a lot easier.
Yeah, like you said, this guy has all the skills in the world, and that's exactly what Alex Smith needs because he had no help last season. And Dwayne Bowe is gone now, correct?
Yeah, he's gone. He wasn't any good anyway.
Yeah, listen, well, I wouldn't say he was their best receiver. He used to be their best receiver. Last season, I'm not quite so sure, but they had to bring in a big-time wide receiver. I'm kind of surprised they waited to the third round to do it. But this guy does look like maybe he could be a first-round talent if he gets everything worked out.
They brought in Jeremy Maclin, too, so they think that he can work a lot on the outside, and maybe this guy can do a little bit on the inside.
I like Maclin. That's definitely an upgrade over Dwayne Bowe, I tell you that.
Yeah, Macklin's a big play receiver. The only thing that worries me is they're bringing in these guys who make big plays, and Alex Smith doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not the guy who throws downfield a lot. He's more the dink and dunk kind of guy who works his way downfield.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't believe this offense is going to be elite no matter what receivers they bring in because, like I said, I'm not sold on Alex Smith. But he is a winning quarterback. He can win. I'm not going to say he's going to win Super Bowls for you, but during the regular season, he's going to win games for you.
The Chiefs had another pick in the third round. It was a compensatory pick. They took cornerback Steven Nelson out of Oregon State. He's 5'10", 197 pounds. He ran a 4.49 40, 19 bench reps, 34.5-inch vertical. He's a good competitor who plays both physical and aggressive. He gets good jam at the line. He has good closing burst. He had 24 passes defended over the last 2 seasons in college. He's a guy who's not afraid to come up and make the tackle. He helps in the run game. He has a hard time turning with receivers to run, so he doesn't have great swivel in his hips. He has below average football IQ. He's not going to guess right on a whole lot of plays. You're not going to see him break on balls on comeback routes and get a lot of picks. He's somebody who plays a safer game and just holds back to try to make the tackle. He panics a little bit in man coverage, and he likes to get grabby going downfield when he gets beat deep. He has a 4.49 40 speed, but his top end speed really isn't there. He's more of a short burst kind of guy, so you might see him be more of a nickel corner, come in maybe even only in the dime package. He's not going to be starting anytime soon for Kansas City, but he definitely has some of the tools to try to be a decent to good player in the league. If you can tackle, I mean, you'll find a team that'll teach you how to do the other things and worry about the other stuff later.
Yeah, like I said, Kansas City's defense is their strength to begin with, and they know how to do it. The best way to win is have a top-end defense, so keep adding to your defense and you can always get better.
In the fourth round, 118th overall, the Chiefs took inside linebacker Ramik Wilson out of Georgia. He's 6'2", 237 pounds, ran a 4.62 40 with 23 bench reps and a 35-inch vertical. He was a 3-year starter. He plays a downhill game. He makes impact tackles. He moves very well laterally across the line. He finished 2004 with the SEC's highest tackle quality grade among starting linebackers, so he doesn't miss a lot of tackles. He can play the Sam or Will linebacker in a 4-3 system. He's not the greatest pass rusher. He's not terrible, but he's not somebody you're going to see on the outside in a 3-4. He's definitely more of a 4-3 guy. He's somebody who can work well against the run, and he's not great in coverage. He's not terrible. He'll need work against some of the tight ends, like a Gronkowski or a Jimmy Graham, somebody like that can move around and play a more wide-open game. He doesn't play physically consistently, so he's going to need to keep that motor going. He's somebody who likes to give up, or maybe not give up, maybe he just tires a little bit as the game goes on. He'll need to work a little bit in zone coverage. Players can get open in front of him. He doesn't have the best instincts of when the quarterback's going to let go of the ball. He's somebody who waits for the play to happen and then kind of tries to make it after that. He's not going to break on too many passes. He's not going to have a lot of defended passes. He's not going to have a lot of interceptions. He's not terrible, but he's not great. He's one of those middle guys who can just help you on special teams, certainly, and maybe be in the mix in a couple years at the linebacker position.
Well, if Kansas City needs help with one thing on the defensive side, it's stopping the run. And like you said, this guy is better at stopping the run than being in coverage. So who knows? Maybe in a couple years this guy will help out and help this team be better against the run in the future.
Yeah, you're not really looking for your fourth-round picks to be starters right away, so he's got a little bit of a grace period, I would say.
Right, but I don't know. You said maybe practice squad. Did I hear you say that?
He's just somebody that if he doesn't get it right away.
Your fourth-round pick got to get on that 55-man roster somehow, though.
I've seen teams cut third-round picks.
Oh, I mean, it happens when you draft a punter. Sepulveda.
The first pick in the fifth round for the Chiefs was DJ Alexander, the outside linebacker out of Oregon State.
Good old DJ.
He's 6'2", 233 pounds, ran a 4.56 40 with 17 bench reps and a 34.5-inch vertical. He's real good on special teams. He played 44 games in college, so he kind of knows what he's doing. He has good foot quickness, good strength. He's somebody who's injury prone. He may be a little too small to play outside linebacker at only 233 pounds. You hear a lot of questions about Randy Gregory. Is he going to be able to hold up down in Dallas for over the course of a whole season? You'd like to see this guy maybe put on 15 to 20 pounds. He's not very fast, so if he does put on that weight, that might hurt him a little bit there. He could become a middle linebacker in a more zone type defense, at a Tampa 2 type defense, cover 2. He's somebody who can play against the run, but I don't think you'll ever see this guy make a Pro Bowl. He's even going to have trouble cracking a starting lineup in his career.
Well, listen, defense. I like bringing in defense to help out, but I mean, they got to bring in some wide receivers still. Did they bring in any more wide receivers later in this draft or what? I mean, drafting one wide receiver and bringing in Macklin isn't going to make up for everything, all the problems they had last season.
They took Deron Brown in the 7th round. He's the only other wide receiver.
You got Jamal Charles. He can catch that ball. Don't forget about him.
You need him in the backfield, man. He's your most important piece.
And he's catching that ball too, though.
Oh, yeah. He's good out of the backfield.
Well, their second 5th round pick was somebody who can help Alex Smith. Tight end James O'Shaughnessy. I think I'm saying his name right. I'm not Irish. He comes out of Illinois State. He's 6'4", 245 pounds. Ran a 4.68 40, a 35-inch vertical, 16 bench reps. Good athlete. He can challenge the seam. He gets his head around quickly, and he has good acceleration out of cuts. So he's somebody that can beat a linebacker real quick. He's not somebody who's going to beat him all the way downfield. Not great top-end speed, more acceleration. He's got good hands. He knows how to catch it with his hands. He knows how to get open. You don't see him drop a lot of passes. You don't see passes banging off his pads or banging off his face mask. That's a problem for a lot of tight ends because a lot of times, you're turning your head and the ball's right there. I mean, you don't have as much time as a wide receiver to work to get open. You have to be able to use your body to shield the defender to try to catch the ball in tight spaces. He needs to be a little more fluid in his routes. He has good acceleration coming out of him, but sometimes he rounds him off a little bit. He doesn't fight real well to get back to the ball, so he's not a guy who's going to run a lot of comeback routes, and he gets pushed around in the run game. He's not going to anchor your line on the right-hand side. He's going to need to work on that, build up some more strength. Only 16 bench reps. It shows he doesn't have that upper body strength or that core strength to really take on a defensive lineman or a defensive end or even a linebacker. This guy may have trouble going against some cornerbacks if he doesn't work on it.
I mean, you got Travis Kelce out there still. I like him as a tight end in Kansas City, so it's not like this guy's going to have to step in and be the number one tight end.
Right. At number 2, if they're running some screen games, you get him the ball and you get it in his hands quickly, he'll make a play or two. Not somebody who's going to dominate a game, but definitely a good package to the type of offense they run in Kansas City.
Old Travis out there is going to mentor old Irish.
Tell you what, looking at this offense, though, between Conley, Macklin, and Kelce, there's a lot better weapons for Alex Smith this season.
Yeah, and you still have Jamal Charles in the backfield, so that's going to help out a lot. And he might actually throw a touchdown pass to a wide receiver.
Let's not forget about Now Davis. Right now,
Davis. Prime time. In the 6th round, the Chiefs took Raheem Nunez Roches. I think is how you say this dude's name. When you have 4 names, I can't learn them all. He's a defensive tackle out of Southern Miss, 6'2", 307 pounds. He runs a 5.02 40 with 26 bench reps and a 34-inch vertical. He's a guy who can get off the ball quick. He has good football IQ, above average agility. He keeps his pads low at the point of the attack, and he's a good pass rusher. He's a little small for the position. At 6'2", 307 isn't great size for a defensive tackle. He has short arms, so he has a hard time going against taller linemen. He actually loses sight of the ball during penetration sometimes because he keeps his head down. He won't keep his head up while he's trying to hit the hole. He doesn't change direction very well, and he's fooled by play-action passes a lot of the time. So he's not somebody who's going to compete right away for a spot, but he has good enough size that he can play on maybe your punt team or your blocked field goal team or something. He'll be able to contribute a little bit, but nothing great right away. And in a compensatory pick, it's kind of like a swing and hope you get something. I'll tell you what, he may not be a great pass rusher, but he can penetrate in the run game, which is odd. If you can get back there when the running back gets the ball, I never understood why you can't get back there when the quarterback has the ball.
Oh, it's a different type of blocking. When you're run blocking, you're blasting off the line. You know what I mean? When you're pass blocking, you're coming up straight up.
He just needs to get it together. Well, the last pick for the Chiefs was another wide receiver, Deron Brown, in the 7th round out of Northern Illinois. He's 6', 205 pounds, 4'5", 440 with 17 bench reps and a 37-inch vertical. He gives the QB a good target. He has a good catch radius and good hands. He didn't drop a lot of passes. He's not going to make game-breaking plays after the catch. He's not a guy who has great moves. He's not going to make you miss in the open field. He has average play speed, okay top end, but he lacks acceleration. He rounds off his routes a lot because he didn't run a very extensive route tree in college. He was more of a one-trick pony. When you're in certain types of offenses like Northern Illinois, though, they don't throw the ball a lot. So, I mean, he was kind of used as a blocker, which may actually help him because now he knows how to run block. And in that offense, that might give him a leg up on some of these other guys.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not like they have much competition behind Macklin and Conley.
Right.
Actually, I think right now their third wide receiver is Albert Wilson, maybe Jason Avant. How hard is it to beat out one of those guys?
Hopefully not too hard.
Hard like Alex Smith.
That's what she said.
Well, what about the undrafted free agents, Dash? Who do they got?
Pittsburgh State cornerback Devontae Bosby, Mississippi State cornerback Justin Cox, Vanderbilt long snapper Andrew East, Iowa State defensive tackle David Irving, Harding wide receiver Donatella Luckett.
Donatello.
Harding.
Yep, he's from Harding, and his name's Donatella. Northwest Missouri State cornerback Travis Manning, Akron linebacker Justin March, Tennessee Martin offensive tackle Charles Sweeten, Utah tight end, this is a great way to spell Wesley, Utah tight end Wesley Tonga. He spells Wesley, W-E-S-T-L-E-E.
That's it. That's thug life.
But then they also brought in this Gardner Webb wide receiver Kenny Cook, and a lot of people have good things to say about this guy, too. And he's a big guy, 6'4", 218 pounds, a wide receiver. He caught 64 passes last season for 758 yards and 5 touchdowns in 10 games with Gardner Webb. And like I said, he's a big guy. He ran a 4.6 40, though, so he's not real fast. But he had a 33-inch vertical jump and a 10-foot broad jump. But the Denver Broncos were actually looking to bring this guy in, and Kansas City swooped in and grabbed him up.
Oh, hell no.
They're grabbing up any wide receiver talent they can get their hands on, hoping it's better than last year.
Well, look, he was ranked number 75 out of 352 wide receivers in college last season.
Not bad at all.
It's not too bad at all. This guy, with his size, and they're saying he has great ability and can go up over top of cornerbacks to get the ball. So who knows? This guy could definitely make an impact on his team with what little they have outside of Macklin pretty much right now, because you can't even trust Conley to be a star right now.
He could become a good red zone target. Good size. Let's move on to the Oakland Raiders. We love the Oakland Raiders here at the Spread, and all Oakland Raiders fans love us at the Spread. Derek Carr is the greatest quarterback of all time.
He's almost as good as his
You're
brother.
dead wrong.
Believe that. He's garbage. Well, in the first round, the Raiders took Amari Cooper, the wide receiver out of Alabama. He's 6'1", 211 pounds. He ran a 4.4 240 with a 33-inch vertical. Cooper has a good mix of size and speed. He gets to his top speed very quickly. He's somebody who can work well over the middle and on the outside. He works hard to get open. He tracks the ball real well in the air, so he can catch deep passes. He can catch short passes. He can take the ball to the house after he catches it. I mean, he really has all the tools and was the top wide receiver in most people's drafts. I think we had Kevin White out of West Virginia going to Oakland in our last mock draft, but we did have Cooper going there in one of them. The one thing Cooper needs to do is work a little bit on his routes, but that's one thing that most wide receivers have to do transitioning from college to the pros. Sometimes he'll change direction on the fly and not run his route, and the quarterback doesn't know what he's doing and throws a pick because it's supposed to be a timing throw, and he expects Cooper to be in a spot that he's not. So he'll need to stop doing that. And he actually dropped 13 passes over the last 2 years. So the Raiders will want him to work on that a little bit. You don't want somebody dropping that many passes. Fans get annoyed with that, and I'm sure Derek Carr would not like that too much because he's bad enough as it is. He doesn't need his wide receivers dropping when he actually gets it to him.
The Raiders have been bad for a long time.
Yeah, it scares me, them taking a wide receiver this early. We've seen it not work out.
Darius Hayward-Bay, now he's the 5th wide receiver for the Steelers.
DHB.
I don't even know if he's going to be that.
DHB, he served me a quarter pounder last night.
I'd go for one of those right now.
I swear he was working at McDonald's.
But Cooper, I don't know. He's as close to a sure thing at wide receiver as you got out of this draft. I'm not saying of all time, but out of the guys out of this draft, he has pretty much all the tools that a wide receiver needs. In the second round, the Raiders took defensive tackle Mario Edwards Jr. out of Florida State. He's 6'3",
It's a Mario.
279 pounds. He ran a 4.8 440 with 32 bench reps. He can play base end or defensive tackle in a 4-3 or 3-4 end. He's got good strong legs, good lower body strength. He holds at the point of attack. He has great closing burst for a defensive tackle. He's way better against the run than the pass, though. He's not the best pass rusher. He was 310 pounds in college, and now he's down to 279 between his last college game and right now. That's a little concerning to me. That's a lot of weight to lose for somebody who's not a great pass rusher. If you're more of a run stuffer, you need to have that extra weight behind you. You can't just do it all on strength alone. He's somebody who got stood up easily in college as it is, so now losing that weight's going to hurt him there. So all these things are going to hurt him, and I think he lost the weight to try to become a better pass rusher, and it's just not, it doesn't happen like that. You don't just lose weight and all of a sudden you're a better pass rusher. You're either a pass rusher or a run stuffer. I mean, it's ingrained in you.
Yeah, Oakland was a little bit better against the pass last season than they were against the run, so that's one thing going for them, but really, all in all, they weren't good against either one, and they need some impact players in here on the defensive side.
Yeah, they need people who can get to the quarterback, too. I don't understand why they took somebody who, this high in the draft, you could find people
The
who
Oakland
can
Raiders, man.
stop the run, I mean, in fourth round. Come on.
Man, the Oakland Raiders allowed 28.3 points per game last season against them.
And then they drafted a wide receiver with their first pick.
That was worse than football.
Yes. Raiders fans.
I mean, we said how bad Chicago's defense was last season. Oakland's was worse.
I think Oakland's defense has been bad since the last time they went to the Super Bowl. In the third round, the Raiders took another offensive player, tight end Clive Walford out of Miami. He's 6'4", 251 pounds. He ran a 4.79 40 with 20 bench reps and a 35-inch vertical. He's actually a really good pass blocker. He's tough and he plays physical. He can drive smaller linebackers off the ball. He lined up in the slot as a traditional tight end and an H-back in college, so he's very versatile. He has enough speed to threaten the seam off the snap, not over the top. He's not going to beat you deep for 70 yards. He runs well after the catch, so if you get him the ball quick, he can do a little bit of damage there. He did drop 10 balls from 2012 to 2013. He needs to work a little bit on his routes. His play speed is inconsistent with his 40 time. He moves slower in pads. He's just one of those guys. I don't know.
He's like me.
It seems like he's running in mud sometimes. And he'll need to work on his run blocking. He's a much better pass blocker than run blocker, which is kind of odd at tight end. How often do you really pass block when you're a tight end, unless you're the second tight end and you're just trying to help out?
I don't know. I didn't see that dude make many plays last year.
I mean, he played Pitt and didn't do anything, so he must not be very good. He's a good combo tight end. He's got versatility. I don't know. I don't even know why you'd line him up at H-back if he's not a great run blocker, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if he can shore up a few things, I mean, he should be a good contributor to a team. But a third-round pick, most people had him projected at 4 or 5.
Yeah, listen, the Oakland Raiders have Michael Rivera at tight end. I actually like him as a tight end. So, I don't know what Oakland is trying to do here. I'm not saying you don't need a backup tight end or whatever, but do you want to waste that on a third-round pick?
I think they got enamored with putting weapons around Carr, because when you get a young quarterback who you think is good, you try to put weapons around him right away, and they're reaching for these weapons. You do it as it comes.
Tell me about it. Didn't they sign Michael Crabtree? That's like the worst wide receiver to sign, in my opinion. Maybe Mike Wallace would be first, and then Crabtree.
Still young though, ain't he?
Yeah, he's young. I mean, he has a lot of upside. There's just something about him. He only has that one trick, it seems like, just like Mike Wallace, and you really can't get it done with that when that guy's your number one. Now, Amari Cooper could step in and be the number one.
Yeah, I think Cooper will be one right away, honestly. He's got the best talent on their team out of any position. He's probably the best player on their team right now.
I don't know. It's hard to say that. He could be a bust. I mean, it's hard to be a good player when the rest of your team is not.
Believe it. I mean, even Calvin Johnson, not that he played bad, but he didn't put up, 2,000 yards when he had no quarterback.
Right. I mean, he had a down year last year, too, it seems.
He was hurt last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In the fourth round, the Raiders took John Feliciano, from Miami. This was a trade that they got from the Bucks through the Colts. So this pick moved hands a couple times.
Buckles.
Feliciano is 6'4", 323 pounds. He ran a 5'2", 940 with 23 bench reps. Strong lower body. He was a 3-year starter, so he knows how to get the job done. He can pull and get to the second level. He only allowed 4 sacks over 3 years as a starter, so that's really, really good in the passing game. For being 6'4", he has a little bit of short arms, so that'll hurt him a little. He lunges sometimes after targets, and he needs better hand placement when he's hand fighting. These are all little things. This guy, I think, could have been picked maybe in the 3rd round as opposed to the 4th, because most of his weaknesses are just technique issues that when you bring him into the NFL team, your coaches work with him and they learn these things. At 6'4", 323 pounds, if you can pull and get to the second level and be balanced while doing it, that's a great asset, because the Raiders, they don't have a great offense. They're going to have to use a little bit of trickery in their offense, and sometimes that calls for more athletic linemen.
If they had good coaches, maybe they'd be able to instill a little bit of discipline and talent into this kid. But I don't even. That whole team's busted.
I'm
so
pretty
who
sure
knows about this dude?
Tony Sperano is there still too, maybe, and you know how he runs those weird offenses.
Yeah.
Well, look, you brought Derek Carr in. Apparently, he's your future. You got to protect this guy, right? I mean, they had no run game at all, so it's going to be passing again this year, in my opinion. Because who they bring in? Trent Richardson.
Yeah,
I think they brought in Halu as well. This isn't going to be a good backfield, and they're going to have to win by passing the ball. So this guy's going to have to protect Carr at all costs.
McFadden's not there anymore.
Yeah, at least they got rid of McFadden.
Where'd he go?
Dallas.
Oh.
That's the Cowboys replaced the leading rusher with Darren McFadden. Great job, Dallas. Another guy in the 5th round for the Raiders was Ben Heaney, an inside linebacker out of Kansas. He's 6 foot, 231 pounds. He ran a 4.59 40. That was the best among inside linebackers in the combine. He had 19 bench reps with a 33.5-inch vertical. He was loved by his players and coaches when he was in college. He gets behind the line very quickly, racking up a lot of tackles for a loss. He's a guy who's always in the film room looking to gain an advantage, and he doesn't wait for the play to come to him. He attacks the play. He's very aggressive when he's on the field. He's not the biggest guy in the world, so that'll hurt him a little bit. He's not great in the passing game, only 1 pass defended in 2014, and his play strength and his play speed are lacking a little bit from his combine results. So he'll need to get used to playing a more physical style game. Not that he doesn't like that style of game, but at only 6 foot, 231 pounds, you're going to try to run into some of these guys on offense, these linemen, or even some tight ends, and they're just going to knock you right on your ass. And his biggest weakness is he led college football in missed tackles last year.
Oh, hell no.
So I don't even know how this guy gets drafted in the 5th round.
It doesn't sound like Oakland's going to be much better than they were last season. I mean, the one hope they do have is they have a little bit better weapons around Carr, and he should show some type of improvement this season. Although, when defenses learn a quarterback, it sometimes gets harder as well.
Yeah, look at Robert Griffin and the 3rd and Colin Kaepernick.
Please believe.
The next pick for the Raiders, another 5th round pick, Neron Ball, an outside linebacker from Florida. This is a pick that came to Oakland from the Panthers. Ball is 6'2", 236 pounds with a 4.60 40, 22 bench reps, 34.5-inch vertical. Another good athlete, decent play strength, willing to take on blockers and play physical in the run game. He played outside in a 3-4 and a 4-3 scheme. He knows how to stay square to the line of scrimmage, and he keeps his feet moving, and it helps him a lot in man coverage because he's not real big. He's somebody who's going to play to the whistle, but he did have microfracture surgery in mid-November. That's a really hard surgery to come back from. He's a guy who lacks instincts. He's a little slow to diagnose plays. He loses the ball a lot in play action. With his poor instincts and his not great size, I mean, that's not a good combination to try to stay on the field. If you can't even see the play developing and it takes you a minute to get there, you're going to get blown past a lot of times.
Brain surgery, he battled it, fought it. I commend him.
Yeah, in 2011, he had brain surgery for a rare hereditary condition, so I'm surprised that didn't scare teams away from him completely. Another linebacker that the Raiders took in this one in the 6th round was Max Vallis out of Virginia. He's 6'5", 251, ran a 4.8 340 with a 36-inch vertical. He has a long frame and he has more room to put on weight and strength. He uses leverage to withstand power linemen. He can play standing up or with his hand on the ground. He's good at setting the edge, and he knows how to get his arms up, what time to do it, batting down 13 passes in the last 2 seasons. He's still a bit of a raw talent, though. He needs a lot more experience in coaching. He has below average instincts, which comes with his lack of playing time. He needs to play with a little bit higher motor and get his footwork going a little better. You can't be somebody who doesn't play to the whistle and play on defense. I mean, that's for offensive guys, mostly wide receivers.
Move on, man. We got to get this done. You said you wanted this to be 30 minutes. We're going on an hour now, probably.
Please believe, easy. The next guy they took was the offensive lineman in the 7th round, Anthony Morris from Tennessee State. They got this pick from Tampa Bay. Morris is 6'6", 290 pounds. He runs a 5'3", 340 with 25 bench reps. He's an athletic guy. He can get to the second level. He works well in a zone read offense. He's a little underdeveloped physically, though. He needs to work a lot on his technique. He's not a traditional lineman. He's not somebody who can just spot up and protect your quarterback's blind side. Like I said, he's a lot better in his zone read offense. He's better when he's moving. At only 290 pounds, he's really just not going to fit in with most teams. But if you put him in an offense like Washington or an offense like Carolina or an offense like Seattle, this is where a guy could be successful. So this is a bad pick to me for the Raiders. Carr has mobility, but he's not a mobile quarterback.
The Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Another 7th round pick was Andre DeBoss, wide receiver out of Florida. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds, ran a 4.44 40 with 12 bench reps and a 37.5-inch vertical. Great special teams guy, returned 23 punts and 21 kickoffs last year. Good speed, good in the open field. He can get over the top of a defense. He doesn't really know how to play the wide receiver position that great, though. Only 1 catch last year in 2014. He's going to need a lot of help and a lot of coaching from the coaching staff. He's easily jammed. He didn't run an extensive route tree. He didn't really run a route tree at all. I don't even know why this guy's listed at wide receiver. I see him more as maybe somebody who could move over to the defensive side of the ball at some point in his career. Like,
what do you mean, man? You said 1 catch?
What was his
name? He
name?
outperformed Darius Hayward-Bay.
Yeah. What was that dude's name from Chicago?
Devin Hester.
Yeah.
Oh, Devin Hester.
He's a lot like Devin Hester. He's going to bounce back from defense to offense without a defined position, but he's good on special teams, so that might help him make a roster spot.
Well, this guy paid the cost to be the boss, right?
Believe it. The last guy the Raiders took, 7th round pick, Dexter McDonald. He's a cornerback from Kansas. This is a pick that came over from the Panthers. Oakland stocked up on all these picks, and I feel like they whiffed on almost every one of them. 6'1", 200 pounds. McDonald ran a 4.4 240, only 10 bench reps, but he did have a good 40.5-inch vertical. He started all 24 games in the last 2 seasons in college. He's a long player who gets a good jam at the line. He can play press coverage and recover if he's beaten. He had 15 passes defended last year. He plays with a high center of gravity, though. It makes him a little off balance, and wide receivers are quick to get away from him on breaks. He jumps too many routes and gives up a lot of big plays. He'll give up a lot of space to receivers in zone coverage, and he gets a lot of pass interference penalties. He's also really bad against the run. So, again, another reach, I feel like, by the Raiders. They were kind of enamored by his speed and size combo, and they're just hoping that this guy is good, and they're throwing crap at the wall and hoping something sticks. What about their undrafted free agents, Dash? They hit on any of those?
Yeah, they hit on them all. Louisiana Tech offensive lineman Mitchell Bell.
Louis.
Nevada quarterback Cody Fajardo. Utah linebacker Jacoby Hale. Northwestern linebacker.
Hell no.
Northwestern.
You said Hale?
Yeah. Hale. H-A-L-E.
Hall.
No, this guy, Jacoby Hale.
Oh, hell no.
Northwestern linebacker Jimmy Hall.
That's Hall. Oh,
Miami.
Oh, hell no.
Miami, Ohio quarterback Andrew Hendricks.
Hey, we knew a quarterback from there, right?
Miami, Ohio, yeah. He was pretty decent, too. I think he won a Super Bowl or 2. But this guy, he can play the guitar with his teeth.
Sign him right away.
Florida defensive tackle Leon Orr. Louisiana Tech defensive back Terrell Pinson,
Louis.
BYU cornerback Daniel Robinson, UNLV linebacker Josh Shirley, Purdue tight end Gabe Holmes, and Fresno State wide receiver Josh Harper.
I don't know why we
No
even talk about
relation
these
to
undrafted
Bryce.
guys.
Now Harper, he went to the combine and ran a 4.64 40, had a 32 vertical and a 9-foot broad jump, so nothing too great there.
Garbage.
And he's only 6'1", 191 pounds. But look, he ranks second in his school's history with 228 receptions.
Beast.
And sixth in receiving yardage with 2,938 yards. He had 1,097 receiving yards last season. That ranks second in the Mountain West and 20th in the entire FBS. So you had a very good season.
Stand up.
And look, this is a guy that had 29 career touchdowns in 41 games played in college. So he definitely performed. Let's see if he can make the roster and maybe get a chance to be on his team. Because let's face it, who do they have? Amari Cooper and who do we say? Michael Crabtree? Nothing is guaranteed in that offense.
It's Carr's
right now.
buddy, too.
Why can't we be friends?
How many of us have them?
Friends. Was that it for the undrafted guys, Dash?
That is it.
All right, we're moving on to the last team in the division, the San Diego Chargers. The Chargers only had 5 picks in the draft. They needed O-line help, running back, wide receiver help. They also needed to upgrade the linebacker and defensive line position.
Quarterback help. Coaching help.
New city,
San
new
Diego,
stadium.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
nobody
garbage.
even wants them. They didn't address the O-line or wide receiver in the draft, but they hope that some of the guys that they did add can help push for a Super Bowl, because Phillip Rivers has pretty much already said that if they move out of San Diego, he doesn't want to be there. Their first round pick was Melvin Gordon, the running back from Wisconsin.
I love him.
He's 6'1", 215 pounds, runs a 4.5 240, 19 bench reps, 35-inch vertical. The Chargers actually traded with the 49ers to get this pick. Gordon is a tall back. He's in excellent shape. He moves inside and outside without losing speed. He averaged 7.6 yards per carry over the last 2 seasons in college. He had 40 runs of 15-plus yards last season alone. He has good moves for a running back, keeps his feet moving. Sometimes he tries to bounce it outside a little bit too much, not always trusting his blockers. He was held to 0 yards or a loss on 19.2% of his carries in college. That's a little bit of a red flag. He likes to dance a little bit behind the line. But, again, coaching all helps that. Running a different style offense helps that. Not having to be the only guy who's good on your team helps that. So
Right.
I think Gordon will fit in well with San Diego. He's the right style runner for their offense.
All day.
Well, yeah, they had that Brandon Oliver who came in last season for a couple games and blew it up for the first 2 or 3 games he played, but then he fell off. He's not a number 1 type running back. Then you got Donald Brown. Everyone in the world knows that guy isn't a running back that you can
Garbage.
feature at all.
Garbage.
And then they do have Danny Woodhead, though, but he's not a feature running back either. He's a guy that you could
good
use out of the
compliment.
backfield. Yeah, something like that. So Melvin Gordon could be a huge, well, he is going to be a huge part of this team this season if he can stay healthy. And I think this guy can be a beast.
Yes.
It's either him or Gurley as the top running back in the draft, and I think with Gurley's health issues, you're going to see Gordon have the biggest year out of the running backs.
He is a fantasy rookie.
Well, I do like Gurley. If Gurley is healthy, I think that guy's going to be even better
Yeah,
than Gordon.
I just not sure if his knee's going to be ready
Right.
for the year. When the second round, I feel like the Chargers got first-round talent. They took inside linebacker Denzel Perryman out of Miami. He's 5'11", 236 pounds. He ran a 4.7 40 with 27 bench reps and a 32-inch vertical. This guy's built like an old-school linebacker. He loves to hit people. He can see past blockers to make the play. He disengages well from the blocker to meet the ball carrier at the hole and make the play. He's a great special teams guy. He's a good team leader. He never complains. He takes a little bit of time to get to his top speed, though, and he's not the greatest linebacker in open space. He doesn't have great coverage skills. Sometimes his short arms make it a little harder against the bigger O-linemen, but this guy's sheer strength, motor, determination, just his general attitude on the football field, I love it. I love this pick.
Yeah, this is a guy we said that could go in the first round when we did some mock drafts, and I think even after we finished all 3 mock drafts, I still wanted that guy at the end of the first round.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go to the Packers most likely.
Yeah, exactly.
In the third round, the Chargers took Craig Mager, the cornerback out of Texas State. He's 5'11", 201 pounds, ran a 4.44 40, 17 bench reps, 38-inch vertical. They love it.
Mager bomb.
He started 4 years in college. He has a good motor. He loves to hit people. He has good footwork, good back pedal. He's good in man coverage. He can return punts a little bit. He doesn't have the greatest instincts, so he doesn't anticipate plays and make breaks on the ball. He has good hands, so he can intercept the ball, but with his lack of instincts, you don't see him making a lot of interceptions unless they're kind of thrown right at him. He has a little bit of a questionable deep speed, real good underneath speed, so I think he projects into a great nickel corner and maybe a good outside corner, or if he works on some of these things, he could become a pretty good outside corner in the league.
That's really maybe all they need going into the season. The San Diego Chargers were actually great against the pass last season, 4th best in football, letting up just 3,427 yards over the season. That averages out to 214.2 a game, so they were very good against the pass. Him coming in here being a nickelback could be a great thing for him and let him take another step forward.
Yeah, you can never have too many good defensive backs in today's NFL. In the 5th round, San Diego took Kyle Emanuel, the outside linebacker out of North Dakota State. He's 6'3", 255 pounds, ran a 4.77 40 with 27 bench reps and a 34-inch vertical. Emanuel had 16.5 tackles for a loss, 10 sacks in 8 games against top 25 opponents when he was in college. That's good production against the top schools. He had good bursts coming off the ball. He keeps his pads low, has a good low center of gravity. His good play strength rarely gets out-muscled. Not a lot of players can push this guy around. His good feet allow him to keep his balance, to work well in tight spaces, to try to overpower tight ends coming off the line. Some of the talent, or most of the talent I should say, that he played against in college wasn't that great. That's why I wanted to point out his stats against the top 25 guys, because most people right away say North Dakota State, well, who did he play against, so who cares? He doesn't set the edge great. He's more of a run stuffer as opposed to a pass rusher. He'll struggle to get back into a play if he's beaten. He may only fit in a 3-4 scheme, and I'm not even too sure about that. I don't know. It depends on if he can develop more pass rushing moves, because if he can, he has the athleticism to get to the quarterback. But if you can't rush the passer as an outside linebacker in a 3-4,
especially in that division, they got to get to Peyton Manning.
Which isn't too hard because he's old and slow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like he takes a ton of sacks still.
Yeah, you're right. He knows how to work the pocket. The last guy for San Diego, 6th-round pick, Darius Philon, the defensive tackle out of Arkansas. He's 6'1", 298 pounds, ran a 4.89 40 with 26 bench reps and a 31-inch vertical. Gets good burst off the snap. He can penetrate the line. He blows up zone plays with his quickness, and he has good bend and stays low off the ball. He needs to get better size. He's only 298 pounds. You're not going to withstand the punishment for a defensive tackle at that weight. He'll need to get stronger to go up against double teams because he can't just lean on some of these guys in the early going. And he struggles to disengage from blockers. He's a better fit in a 4-3 scheme than a 3-4 scheme because he has more guys around him and he doesn't have to work in as much space. But he will do okay. I don't know if he makes the roster on day one, though.
Practice.
The combo of not being very big and struggling a little bit against the run, that doesn't fare well for you if you're a defensive tackle. But that's it. That's all the drafted guys for San Diego, Dash. So what else do we got? A couple undrafted free agents?
Couple my ass. You better sit down for this. Northwestern linebacker Akechi Araguzzo.
Get it.
Boston College cornerback Manuel Esprilla getting Skrilla. Mississippi State guard Ben Beckwith. Minnesota defensive end Cameron Botticelli.
Gopher.
Cincinnati offensive tackle Tyreek Burwell. Western Kentucky offensive tackle Cameron Clemens. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo linebacker Nick Zubnar. Ball State.
Stay up there.
Ball State running back Jawan Edwards. Ohio State linebacker Curtis Grant. Nevada defensive end Brock Hecking. Sacred Heart defensive back Gordon Hill. Texas A&M kicker Josh Lambo. Iowa safety Johnny Loudermilk. Kansas State linebacker Ryan Mueller, Albany tight end Brian Parker, West Virginia running back Dreamius Smith, Clemson quarterback Cole Stout, Western Oregon wide receiver Tyrell Williams,
Go.
and Arkansas wide receiver Demetrius Wilson. And then they brought in one other wide receiver, and this guy actually looks like a beast. Central Michigan's Titus Davis.
The Titus Davis around.
Look, he only ran a 4.51 at the combine and had a 32.5-inch vertical, a 9 foot 11-inch broad jump, and he didn't have a pro day. But when you just look at what this guy did in college, I mean, he was beast mode. He started all 4 years, had 204 career catches for 3,700 yards with 37 touchdowns. He caught at least 8 touchdown passes in all 4 seasons, and he's the only wideout in FBS history to do that.
Beast.
Damn.
So this guy is a monster.
And he doesn't even, it's got to be undrafted.
Yep, 6'2", 190 pounds. So he doesn't have the huge size or anything, but still, 6'2" is a decent size. It'd be nice to see him put on another 10 to 15 pounds or something. But this guy did it big in college, and he followed Antonio Brown. When he left, this dude came in and took over and played pretty well for Central Michigan.
Let's get him. Let's sign him up.
The one thing they say, he has very short arms, though, which doesn't help for him.
T-Rex.
You're a slot receiver, though.
And but like I said, he doesn't have the huge speed either. So this guy, I mean, he gets it done on the field. So you got to give him a shot and see what he can do. But he doesn't have the huge athleticism.
Well, big ups to that dude. At least he's chasing his dream in sunny San Diego. Not like cold-ass rain in Buffalo.
Maybe not San Diego soon.
Who knows? Well, that wraps it up for our AFC West draft segment. Thank you guys for sticking in with me. Thank you, fans, for listening. Fans, you could follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You could follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Check out our website at thespreadnews.simplesite.com. Go to our YouTube page. Keep clicking subscribe and keep clicking the thumbs up. That's with the thumb pointing up, not down.